because that's your first step is you want to understand, what it takes to run a hotel first before you can, develop a hotel. So you want to, okay, let me get my hands dirty. Let me see how long it takes to get all these beds ready for the guests, what this check-in process looks like. How do I get bookings, the different booking engines? How do I work with them? How do I maintain my revenue within the hotel? How do I control the labor costs? You want to get your foot in the door. You want to understand, what it takes to be in the hotel space.
Gotcha.
You are now listening to the Your First Steps podcast. It's great to talk about $1 million dreams, but where do we start? How do we get there? Listen up as you hear directly from real estate industry leaders on how they reach success in their fields. And most importantly, what were their first steps? Let's get this party started. Here's your host, Eli the Real Estate Guy.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Thank y'all so much for tuning into another episode of the Your First Steps podcast. All right, I'm so excited for you guys to join us today, and we have a very, very, very special guest. This guest, he is a husband, he is a father, he's an entrepreneur, and he is a hotel developer. I know you guys probably have not got a chance to see a lot of hotel developers come and actually speak about the process of developing hotels, but we have an expert here today, so I'm super excited to introduce you guys to Kofi Minta. Kofi, how you doing today, man?
Great.
Awesome,
great to be with you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. So just to kind of let you guys know how we met. So our wives are actually really good friends, and they met, I believe, at a church or some type of event. And as they got closer, then we were actually able to meet each other as well. We all became close, and we became good friends, and now we're actually the godparents of your child. So thank you again for that honor. That was huge. So thank you for that. Yes, sir. Tell us a little bit about yourself for the people who don't know who Kofi Minta is. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Sure. Well, like you said, my name is Kofi Minta. I'm a husband, new father. Actually, I have a 16-month-old, Camille. My wife is Kamisha. I was raised in Houston, Texas, and I've traveled around for school and work, and now I'm back actually in Houston, Texas. Mm-hmm. But a little about me, I have an older sister, and my parents are both here in Texas as well. But they travel back and forth because my sister actually lives in Switzerland, so they travel back and forth visiting her.
Cool.
But basically, I have a family and a husband, and I love working. I'm involved in the church, and I love all types of sports outside of work. So.
Gotcha. Good deal. You say your sister lives in Switzerland. What is she doing out there?
She actually works for the World Health Organization. So
nice.
Basically all the viruses and diseases you can think of, she's fighting to eradicate them.
Gotcha. Awesome. Okay, good deal. Well, hopefully we could probably get her on the podcast one of these days too, so we can really get some details on that. So you say you went to, you traveled around for school. So what schools did you go to?
Well, I started at Purdue University for undergrad, and I got a degree in hospitality and tourism management, which is basically the insight into hotels and hospitality and restaurants, kind of get a bird's eye view into how that process works.
Gotcha.
And then from then I went to Morgan State in Maryland for a degree, my master's MBA in finance and IT, information systems.
Gotcha.
And then my last degree was at University of Maryland.
Stacking them up. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
stacking them up.
Right.
University of Maryland was real estate development, master's in real estate development.
Gotcha.
So
that makes sense.
Those
Okay.
Are the three different paths.
So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I did not know about that last degree. So we're definitely going to get into that and the importance of that and the influence of having that last degree. What did that affect in your career? But so before we get into hotel development and where you are now, and the photo booth business that you and your wife have. Like, before we get into all that stuff, take us back to your childhood on what it was like being raised in a Minta household, and what did that mean for you and the influence that it had on your development.
Okay. As far as my household, my dad is actually an engineer, and my mom is a nurse. So they worked a lot. My mom worked at night, overnights, and my dad worked during the day. So we would, I guess, um, do a lot of, I guess, self-teaching. But at night is where we would kind of gather together as a family. We would always have family dinners. And we were very spiritual, so we would have devotional rooms at night, kind of learning different scriptures, and that's kind of where we would meet to kind of have our together time.
Gotcha.
We would do church on Sundays, church on Wednesdays. Very involved in the church, so that was kind of our upbringing, or my grounding, I guess, in my faith. But I also worked a lot during growing up in high school.
Gotcha.
As well.
So, did you play sports growing up while you were younger?
Yeah, so I ran track in high school. I tried to play football, but it didn't work out too well.
Gotcha. Hey, I have some horror stories too, so I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, track was the main thing, and a little bit of soccer. But.
Gotcha. Okay. Did you run track in college as well, or was it mainly high school?
Yeah, actually, my freshman year, I ran in kind of, I walked on, but I wasn't like a big star or anything, but just to try it out. But I ran a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So we got from being in the household, very religious background, and that laid a foundation for your faith. And would you say that? Well, how important is faith to you when it comes to family?
Faith is very important because I mean, I feel it's a good point of a moral grounding for me for, I mean, setting goals and having a vision and having some type of belief system that, I can trust that this will work. And
Gotcha.
I believe that there's someone that can guide me and that can, serve a person as a vision for me as well.
Gotcha. So when it comes to faith, and I'll go ahead and position this so I can kind of guide what I'm looking for. So faith, of course, is extremely important, but when it comes to mentorship, how do you balance having faith in God with also seeking mentorship for whatever professional endeavors you have?
Sorry. So as far as faith and mentorship, you want to find somebody that has a good ethics and core values as well when you're speaking to somebody or looking for somebody to trust as a mentor. Or if you're going to mentor someone else, you want to make sure that they have a belief, some type of belief system or values or ethics that you can partner and trust them.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So now when it comes to looking for mentors, is it mainly like professors, or is it folks that's in the field? Like, how do you go and seek out mentors or guidance from other people that have walked the path that you're walking down yourself?
Well, thinking back to my mentors, it's been people that I've worked with, people either managers or presidents, past professors have served as mentors and are still currently my mentors. So I believe professors, also church leaders, church elders have been great mentors and are great mentors.
Gotcha.
So you try to find people that you look up to, people that you believe in and you can trust.
Gotcha. Cool. So now we worked through your childhood. We got through high school. Now we're at the beginning of college. Now, did you always know that you wanted to be a hotel developer, like through, high school, or like when you're like a kid, as soon as you start walking, you're like, man, one day I saw this hotel and it inspired me. Like, this is what I want to do. Or did this come much later in life?
Well, actually, growing up, I used to draw like little houses and like little bedrooms and houses
Yeah,
and little buildings, and I guess I was interested in real estate, but I really didn't know there was a hotel development type of thing. But I was
gotcha.
always interested in some type of real estate, houses or buildings or hotels, just some type of real estate. But I didn't know there's a specific hotel development or hotel or um, investment. I didn't know anything about that
Gotcha.
until my college days.
Gotcha. And so, when were you? So, as you went into college, did that journey of hospitality or hotel development does that start as a freshman in college, or was that later on once you got your last degree?
It was actually my when I started at Purdue. Actually, I started in accounting, so I thought I would just do business, and so I was in accounting. I did that for the first actually 2 years of college, actually, my freshman and sophomore year. But then my junior year, that's when I found out about the hospitality school actually at Purdue, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. This is something that I would. I mean, it's kind of more like a direct and more something I think I can have an impact in. So
Gotcha.
my junior year is when I actually got into actual hotels and hospitality. So I actually switched my major to hospitality and tourism management from accounting.
Gotcha.
My junior year of college.
Okay. Now, for those who have followed me on Instagram, they know that it took me a while to finish college. I only got my bachelor's degree, and it took me a minute to go from starting college to actually graduating. Now, accounting and hospitality, I don't know if there's a lot of classes that overlap. So, would you say it extended your stay in college, or would you say that the first couple years you mainly got your general requirements, and then when it really mattered, that's when I was like, all right, let me start getting into the meat and potatoes of those classes?
Yeah, actually, the first 2 years, a lot of the classes transferred into the hospitality program because some of the accounting, um, like general accounting, is a little bit similar to hospitality accounting.
Mm,
So it kind of translates a little bit. And then like a lot of the science classes and the math classes, those all translated into the hospitality accounting because you still have math and general sciences in that degree. So I was able to pretty seamlessly transfer those credits over.
gotcha, gotcha. Okay, and I know you also pledged as well. So the name of your fraternity, what's the name of that?
Yes, I pledged Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated.
Gotcha.
We're the Brown and Gold brothers.
There you go.
Yep. And I pledged that my junior year actually
Junior year.
at
Okay,
Purdue.
so what made you pledge with the Iotas?
I saw the brothers on the yard. There's actually some brothers that were on the track team as well. And I saw what they were doing on campus as well as the leadership that they had. And also the whole Greek life in general. Purdue is actually the third largest Greek system altogether. Well,
Mm,
even though Iota Phi is a African American fraternity, as far as fraternities and sorority systems, black and white, Purdue has the third largest system. So it's very prevalent on campus. So they're very
gotcha,
active in the community, and it was very a great decision and the best
gotcha.
decisions I made.
Okay, gotcha. So you saw the leadership that they had in the community, and but I guess it'll be different for other schools. So you're saying that fraternity life and sorority life, well, Greek life, I guess is that are you saying it's Greek life
Yeah,
basically?
it's Greek life.
So Greek life, it was so impactful in those schools specifically, like the Purdue and these other type schools. As you went into other universities, did you notice a difference in how Purdue handled Greek life versus the other schools?
Yeah, well, Purdue is what we call, predominantly white institution,
Mm,
but so it's a little bit the Greek life is a little different there. But when I went to graduate school, I went to a historically black college, Morgan State, which
gotcha.
was it's totally different. The even though it's still Greek life, it's the feel is different between a Purdue versus a Morgan State
Gotcha.
or like a Howard versus at UCLA. It's going to
Gotcha.
be different. Like the school is larger at Purdue versus Morgan State. It's a smaller school, so it's going to be more of a family feel. So it's just a little different taste.
Okay. So if anybody is pledging, would you recommend that they? Okay, let me back it up. You're in high school. You're about to go to college, right? Would you recommend, say, a young African American person? Would you recommend they go to a HBCU, or should they go to a PWI?
Well, I think it depends on what you want to study. Both schools offer great education, but you want to go to a school that you know what the program you want to study is, or you have a general sense of what you want to study. Um, as far as like Morgan, I got my MBA there, and it's a great business program. I know Purdue is a big like engineering school, so um, if you want to like okay, I'm going to study engineering, you would go to like a school like Purdue. That's a big
Gotcha.
engineering school.
Right.
Or hospitality. They have a top hospitality program. So depending on what you want to study, I would first, find what you're going to study, and then find the school that has that particular program, or a range of ideas of programs that you want to study. Find a school that has that, and focus on that, and then you can decide where you want to go.
Gotcha. Okay. Good deal. And last on the Greek life question. So, that is, you're saying that you saw what they did as far as leadership in the school, but how would you say the role of that fraternity? What impact did they have on you specifically, and how did that make you a better man and entrepreneur?
Sure. Well, as far as on the campus, I was able to be have a more active role in the community. I mean, before I was in the band, uh, and ran track, and it's kind of like a small fish in a big pond. But when you join the fraternity, you're kind of you have a bigger voice, I would say. So you have a bigger voice. You're able to organize activities, social functions, kind of economic functions. Um, can bring more people together, and you have more a sense of, I guess, belonging, and it was just a bigger voice, I
Gotcha.
would say.
Gotcha. Good deal. And so now we're working our way through you got your MBA. Now, at what point did that shift happen to, all right, I'm going to go back and get another degree? But what really made hospitality stand out to where you're like, all right, this is where it's going to be. And not only is that this is where it's going to be, I'm also going to get into the hotel development side. So what was that transition for you?
I would say actually probably my senior year of college. Well, I take it back. My junior, I did an internship actually with the hotel company, and so I kind of learned. I got an inside view of the construction of hotels, and kind of what goes into the daily operations of a hotel. And then my senior year, I was actually working at a hotel on campus, and I was really enjoying it. And during my internship, I really enjoyed the inner workings of the hotel. But I kind of knew that as far as my path, I would want to get more kind of detailed degrees, because I love learning, and I thought that the more detailed degrees would give me more insight into running a hotel. So that's why I thought I would need an MBA, and then down the road like a real estate development degree.
Gotcha. Okay, so you bring up two very, very interesting points. So, internships. Well, let's start off with internships, and I'll go to the next one. So, internships. I'm a huge advocate for internships. While I was in school, I remember speaking to different students that were there, and just explaining like, man, I got to get me this internship because I want to increase my chances of getting a job after college, not just kind of being out here. And so I was applying for anything that would give me some type of experience, because there's a whole endless circle of, well, you don't have any experience, so you can't get the job, and blah blah whatever. So with that, I remember my internship that I ended up getting was management internship with Target, and of course I had no dream job of working for Target or retail or whatever, but it's like I got to get my foot in the door of something because I don't know what there is to do out there. Now, where I would say I could have done a little better was instead of just getting a internship, I knew from a kid I wanted to be a real estate investor. But in my mind, it was first I need to have a bunch of money and then I'll eventually get into real estate. But I didn't know that there were small steps that you could take into getting into real estate. So there were internships that I could have taken with real estate agents, different brokers' offices or whatever to kind of continue me on that path. But I just shot out and did something else. And it wasn't until years later I realized like, oh, you don't need to be rich to start in real estate, and you could actually just build your way up. So internships, how important would you say internships are for just any student right now that's in college? And if you were to really, if you were to sit down with a student and talk to them and say like, hey, this is why internships are important, what would you tell that student?
I would tell them they're probably the number one way of getting your foot in the door of an industry. I mean, my internship was kind of the building block of me getting those next jobs, those next foot in the next door of the next career. So, I mean, I was luckily Purdue. I would have to credit them. They had a lot of career fairs, and they really pushed us out there to interview and interview and interview. And so everyone was really getting interviews and internships at that time. So it was very, very key to get your foot in the door, knock on doors, do an internship, or just shadow somewhere on campus, or shadow a job somewhere, so you have that experience of what you want to do or what field you want to, partake in, because it's really a great stepping stone, a building block to your career.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm gonna pretend like I'm the student, and I'm kind of rebuttaling what you're saying here. All right, so I don't really know what I want to do. Right, I'm in college. My parents told me to go to college. I would rather make TikToks because I heard D'Amelio or whatever her name is, she's killing it on TikTok. So maybe I want to do some dances. But you as an adult, that's a successful entrepreneur, what would you tell that young 19-year-old, like, hey, I don't even know if college is for me? What would you still say about internships? Because that's a real issue. It's like kids are going out there to college. They don't know why they're going out. Besides, my mom said I had to. My dad said I had to. Mm-hmm. So what would you say to that person?
I would say I guess college is also to help you find your passion. So yes, maybe you want to do TikTok, or there's classes on, social entrepreneurship, I guess you could say. So you can find an internship or shadow somebody that does that type of thing. So you would use that internship or that shadow opportunity as a transferable skill to what you eventually want to do. So you might not know exactly what you want to do, but you can still find an internship with something that you have a passion with, and then you can parachute that into what you eventually want to do down the road.
Gotcha. I love it, man. There's a professor that I had while I was in college, and she recommended, from freshman year, try to go to as many job fairs and career expos as possible, get your resume out. And the thing is, your freshman year, of course, nobody wants you as far as the jobs or whatever it is, because you're not qualified yet. You don't have enough experience. You don't have enough credits. Sometimes they can't even really take you on as an intern because you need to have X amount of classes in before you actually follow them, because then once you have a base knowledge of what these things are. But something that she said was just go out there, because you don't want the time that counts to be your first time. Right. Yeah. And so by going out there, every expo that was there, I remember I'll go out and I'll give the resume. And I was like, okay, have you taken this class? Nope. Have you taken this class? Nope. Okay. When do you graduate? I graduate in like another 2.5 years. It's like, we're taking, seniors right now, we're taking whatever. So like, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I just want to introduce myself, blah, blah, and get the jitters out. I know I'm kind of repeating myself here, but you don't want your junior year or your senior year to be that time to where it's like, all right, here's my resume, and all of a sudden you freeze because, oh wait, this is my career now. Oh, it's real now. Oh my gosh, this is, whatever. So any student, any college student that's watching this right now, please go to the next Career Expo. Get your resume together. I'm not sure. Well, should have this at every college to where it's a career development center to where you can go that can help you with your resume and just go from there. So that's the college aspect. So you went on and you said something that was also very interesting too. You had a internship that you went to, or shadowing that you went to at the hotel that was at your school. So explain, what was at your school? The hotel was at your school?
No. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. The internship was during the summer, but when I got back from the summer internship, I was able to get a job on campus at a hotel.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. So you got the job at the hotel. So what made you get that job at the hotel? Was it you knowing that you want to be in hospitality and the hotel's there, so this makes sense? Or what was your thought process behind getting that job?
It was both to have money on campus, even though it's a little bit of money, and also to still continue what I learned from my internship, because from the internship I knew I definitely want to be in hotels, and this is my passion and I enjoy it. So I really thought that the on-campus job would really solidify my thinking and my thought process, and getting me more exposure as well.
Gotcha. All right. So you brought up the concept of having a detailed degree, which I think I haven't heard that term used before when it comes to actually picking a degree. So explain what you meant by a detailed degree and why that was so important.
Well, I would say detailed because there's a lot of I guess this is from I guess the current state of affairs. You can get these general studies or general degrees, but if you have a more detailed degree, it's more I guess the detail in I guess the type of classes you take, which are able to be used. So as far as like a hospitality and tourism management degree, my first degree, we actually had particular classes in like food services, in lodging, where you would work in a hotel. We had cooking classes where you would cook like restaurant meals. So there's degrees which are, I guess, detailed, where you're actually getting real world exposure. And I think now actually most degrees are leaning towards that way. So you're not just taking general classes, you're taking classes which are giving you real world exposure to what you'll be doing in the future.
Gotcha.
So I guess all degrees are really more now, I guess, detailed, but this was back in when I graduated, it was a while ago,
right,
where degrees were more generalized. But now it seems that they're leaning more towards, giving you real world exposure in your classes that you're taking.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, and this is interesting, when it comes to the battle of should someone go to college versus can they just go on YouTube and learn, or take online courses that people will prepackage together because people want to learn, like, hey, how do you do this? Here's a course, 1997, here's a course. So would you recommend someone get into hospitality or hotel development with going the route of getting degrees, or would you say that purchasing courses online that's tailored to hotel development is a better route? So which route would you recommend for somebody that's like, I want to do that, and they're 20 years old? It's like, hey, which route do I go? College or take this online course?
I think, well, online is probably the wave of the future, but I still feel that an in-class session, whether community college or associate's degree, you get the exposure of other students, and you get more I think you can get more experience being in a classroom setting than online. With the classroom setting, you have the professor, you have other students, you're bouncing off ideas with, you're seeing what they think of something versus what you think, and you're able to, brainstorm and come, you know, newer, fresher solutions. Rather than, I think online is more kind of one-on-one, where you're not getting as much, exposure as you would as you're in a classroom setting with other students, and also you're getting more exposure that way.
Gotcha. So would you say that hospitality is more of a science or is it more of an art as far as what's the best way to be successful at overall hospitality?
It's actually a mixture, but the main thing is it's a people business. So you have to be able to communicate and work with people, but then that's the art side. But the science side is you also have to understand, I guess, finance and revenues and managing your day-to-day operations, which is more of a science piece where, how many people do I need to have working this day? How many beds do I need to get people into, to keep the hotel running at a profit? So there's a mix of it, but if you have the bad service part, which is your art piece, you won't be successful in the science piece of making your revenue. So
Gotcha.
it's a mixture, I would say.
I love it. Okay, cool. So if someone wanted to get started and they want to get into hotel development, how do you start?
Well, with hotel development, you do need to kind of start in the hotel space. So that's learning about hotels. Or what there's hotels are a lot more than just checking in and checking out. There's the housekeeping aspect. There's the maintenance of a hotel. There's the sales aspect of hotel. There's weddings, banquets. There's a lot of aspects that make a hotel run. So you first need to know the operations piece of a hotel, because even though there's a hotel development piece, you have to know the operations side so you can make the two seamless to let your hotel be profitable. So the first thing you want to do is have a passion for hotels and the hotel space.
Gotcha. So the first thing is just have a passion to get ready to take on all the information and know all the ins and outs of what a hotel actually is, right?
Yes, I mean there's so many different pieces to a hotel. It's a big entity, and you want to be comfortable in all the spaces and all the areas.
So you bring up another interesting point. So if somebody would have asked me like, "Hey, can you have events at hotels?" I'd be like, "Obviously." If somebody would say, "Can you have a banquet? Can you have a wedding? Can you also sleep there? Can you also buy snacks there? Can you also, have different reward systems?" I would say yes, but after you said that, it made me realize how many revenue streams a hotel actually has, and understanding how to maximize a hotel profit potential. So, what are some of these different revenue streams that you would say typically, like the typical person wouldn't think of? Like, what's some revenue streams of a hotel?
Okay, so the revenue streams, we kind of break them into different pieces. You have, first of all, your guest experience. That's your casual guests, which we call leisure. And then you have your business guests. So you try to book corporate events, and that's where you bring in your business guests. So they'll book your corporate room bookings, and then they'll have their corporate events where it's either their seminars or meetings, and that's one piece of revenue. And then you have your different holidays of the year, which is
Gotcha.
your leisure.
All right, so hotels, I see that they have multiple revenue streams. So tell me a little bit about what are all the different streams of revenue for a hotel that people may not really think about?
Okay, so some of the kind of lesser known revenue streams, you have your food and beverage, of course, which is your restaurant, and then there's also going to be usually in the hotel there's a market, which is maybe 24 hours where you can pick up snacks and things like that. That's a revenue stream. You have your events, so there's corporate events, weddings. So the corporate events are usually when we try to find corporations that want to book sleeping rooms as well as have maybe seminars or events. So we'll package a deal where they'll have sleeping rooms as well as their uh, rooms for their events. You're also going to have weddings or that are known, banquets, um, family functions, social parties. Um, we can rent out the hotel for um, some of the suite rooms can be booked for birthday parties. Those are kind of things that are booked as well. If you have dignitaries coming in, maybe they want the penthouse, or there's different ways you can generate different revenues from the hotel.
Gotcha. Okay, and so okay, that's interesting because like I said before, whenever you think of hotel, my mind immediately goes to beds, people coming in, checking out, and would you say that are there any revenue streams that are somewhat of a loss leader to where we don't really make money on this, but we do this because it enhances their experience? So what's something that you spend money on to where it's like, if we don't have this, that people feel like they're missing out?
Well, yeah, food and beverage is one of the things that doesn't, well, it is a slim margin to make revenue. Most of the
Gotcha.
revenue is made in the what we call rooms revenue, which is the beds, and then you have the food revenues, which are you have to make very slim margins actually to make a revenue. But if there's a loss in food, you kind of make that up with the rooms revenue.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good job. All right. And what's something that you wish you knew when you started hotel development? What's something that you wish you knew?
Something I wish I knew when I started, I would say there's you just have to be very patient. It's not a quick um, business, a quick thing. It takes time. You have to have a lot of patience to see it through. Is what I would say.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha. Yeah. So with that, and I didn't ask this before. So when we're saying hotel development, what
yes.
does that mean? What does hotel development mean?
Okay. So the hotel development piece is really finding like a blank stat of land and developing the whole hotel. So that development process includes um, pulling together engineers, architects, getting your franchise flag for what type of hotel it will be, permitting with the city, getting buy-in from the residents. So there's a putting together a feasibility study to see if you should even build the project. So there's a long process of developing a hotel, getting the financing from the bank, getting your partners. There's a lot of steps to developing a hotel,
Right.
and the tail end is where you do the soft opening of the hotel. But the development process is everything you do before the actual soft opening of the hotel.
Gotcha. So what makes a good hotel site? Because you say you started off with the land that you're actually building the hotel on. What are you looking for whenever you find that piece of land? Whether it's size, location, whatever. What's important to you to where it's like, that's a good spot.
Location is a good piece, but you also want to look for somewhere that's up and coming, where you can see that it's kind of probably similar with a commercial building where you want somewhere where it's up and coming. You can see that there's going to be some booming business coming in, good resident count. You want to see that the see what type of things are around. You want to make sure that there's good buy-in from the people that are there, that they're going to be involved in with it as well. You
Are
want
you
to
talking
see
like the
there's
locals, basically? Like okay,
the
gotcha.
locals that are there, the local government as well. Make sure the local government, the city, the region that they're going to have buy-in as well. That they'll be able to support you, and you can support them and partner with them because they're going to be one of your biggest partners. You want to the as far as the city councilman as well. You want to make sure
Wow.
you're able to, yeah. You want to make sure you have a lot of buy-in from everybody that you're going to be bringing a project to. You want to make sure that there's a lot of local attractions there, maybe a movie theater, libraries, schools, and then you want to make sure there's good access as well, like freeways, or if it's local roads. You want to make sure everything is 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 built right, and you want to make sure that the location is one that is very admirable, I would say.
Gotcha. So I didn't know there was so much buy-in that was needed by city officials, the people, and everything else. Now, this makes me think about. I'm not sure if you know a lot about apartment development. Do you know people that do apartment development or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a few colleagues, but I'm not. That's not really my
Right,
avenue.
right.
But yeah.
So, from what you've heard, I'm not sure if you guys speak about this, but what are some differences you think is there between hotel development and apartment development? Like, what are some differences you would say that, oh, I know apartments don't have to deal with this, from your perspective?
I would say apartments are probably more like residential housing, where it's not as it's I guess you wouldn't need as much buy-in from a city because it's not really a hotel is more of a commercial product where you're doing more than um, people just sleeping in the rooms. You need it's like a restaurant is there too, so you need more. There's different centers within the hotel rather than an apartment or housing. It's more of a residential piece. So I think with the apartment or single housing, um, maybe you wouldn't have to go through many hoops as a hotel.
Gotcha.
As far as even with like the permitting and licensing and occupancy certificates,
Right.
um, I guess a hotel would be um, a little more to get into.
Gotcha. So, thinking about this and trying to compare the two actually made me think about why so much buy-in is needed for a hotel compared to an apartment. And one of them is, in a way, a hotel is looked at as being more beneficial to a city than an
Yes.
apartment would be. So an apartment is just there to, okay, folks are just looking for a place to live, whereas a hotel is it's obvious that people are not coming there long term, but it's creating shelter for people that's coming in to spend money in the city, and they
As well
typically
as
don't.
in
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yes, as well as an economic indicator. I mean, you're bringing a lot of jobs from the hotel, so the city is going to be happy with more jobs within the city, and it's going to produce more income for the city as well. People coming in, spending more money. So that's why you're looking for buy-in from your city officials.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense. All right. And now, as far as a first step, all right, this is a segment of the show to where, the name of the podcast is the Your First Steps podcast. So, I know you spoke about having passion first when it comes to being in a hotel space, and one of the first things you should have. But if somebody is like, okay, I'm passionate, I know I want to be in hotel development. What is their first step to, like, okay, now day one I do this?
The first thing I would do, I would just go into a hotel and start, start from the door. You want to go in and you want to, at apply for a job. anywhere, whether it's in housekeeping, the front desk, engineering, sales, shadow, do an internship, get a part-time job, uh, because that's your first step is you want to understand, what it takes to run a hotel first before you can, develop a hotel. So you want to, okay, let me get my hands dirty. Let me see how long it takes to get all these beds ready for the guests, what this check-in process looks like. How do I get bookings, the different booking engines? How do I work with them? How do I maintain my revenue within the hotel? How do I control the labor costs? You want to get your foot in the door. You want to understand, what it takes to be in the hotel space.
Gotcha. So, in a way, you got to be in the belly of the beast to really know the inner workings of what it's all about. That is very interesting. I was definitely expecting a different answer, but what you said makes way more sense, right? And I've heard someone say this before, but he was speaking about the medical field. I didn't agree with it from that aspect, but I feel like with hospitality, it does make sense. So even if you're even if you're going in and being a janitor, being a part of the janitorial department, it's a huge part of what a hotel is. So by actually going in there, on some levels, you may have more insight than somebody that's just at the front desk because you see the inner worker. That's huge. That is a huge shift. So, that's something that you guys, I don't want that to go over your head. If you want to get started in the hospitality industry, if you want to start with hotel development, step one isn't buying land, right? Step one is actually getting into the belly of the beast, going into the hotel and actually getting the job there and seeing, all right, what does a successful hotel look like? What is what's the inner workings? What is the day to day? How does management work? How does the janitor? What's the scheduling like? What are the stacks? What are the hours? What's figuring out what that actually looks like in person instead of theory? Kofi, that is huge. That is huge, dude. That's a huge tip. Now let's speak about the photo booth business that you and your wife started. You said during the pandemic is when it started. So explain how that idea came about, and then let me know how the pandemic affected you guys with the business.
Sure. Well, my wife, Kamisha, she takes most of all the credit for this. She's very, as you can see, I'm very laid back.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is a social butterfly. She's very out there, and she's very much in that space. She actually has an organization company called Social T, where it's a women empowerment organization. So they have a lot of events. So through that, she's always having these events that she was throwing through the company, through our organization.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to do this photo booth that as an extension of that. So we do, weddings, birthday parties through the event rentals business.
Gotcha. All right. And so it started with that organization, and then as an extension, you have that business. Then from there, it was why not do it for other people, basically?
Yes, because you're already using it for hiring other people to do it. So we said, let's just do it ourselves.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. And so, is that the only thing that you all decided to also do because you're hiring somebody else to do it, or was this okay, out of all the things that we may hire folks to do, this seems like the most reasonable business to start? Like, what made y'all look at that out of all the things that could have been and say this is a good idea?
I guess that's where we started, and I guess the eventual goal was to actually have an event space. So this is kind of like a jump off to that. You start with photo booths,
Mm-hmm.
Flower walls, 360, and then you expand that to the event space down the road.
So the photo booth. You said a flower wall?
Yeah, flower walls for the photo booth.
Okay. Got it. Wait,
Yeah,
flower wall for. Oh, so
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 you,
not a
so
booth,
you,
not an old school booth with the curtain. A booth like a place that's like on this wall. They're going to be like at weddings where it's like you stand there.
yeah,
Okay, got
yeah.
it, got
There's a
it.
flower.
Okay,
Yeah, people taking pictures there. Exactly.
gotcha. All right, and then the 360 cameras,
Yes,
and then from there having an event space that would incorporate all those things in there as like additional add-ons to as a package.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Do you know who Nehemiah Davis is?
Nehemiah did no. I'm
Okay,
not.
so he is a guy on social media. He teaches folks about Instagram, teaches folks about a lot of different things. But one of the things that he has courses on and information on is event spaces. And
Okay.
I was considering doing an event space with with the family and doing all that. But maybe that's something that since you guys already have the goal in mind, maybe that's something that we could eventually work on together. And this wasn't scripted, so whatever. So now that I know that this is good, I remember we were talking about this a while ago. I think when Kamisha was actually doing a photo shoot of me at the park while we was up
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
I remember we were
Yep.
talking about doing like a podcast type studio to where she was thinking about doing that. And then I think we also said something about the event space or having an event space with a podcast studio in the back. Yeah, we should do something, but we'll talk more about that later on. But that's awesome. So, what made you also want to incorporate the event space? Like, is it also because you guys were renting out venues and it's like, hey, let's do that?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think it's better to just incorporate it in your own rather than to keep using other facilities. You can just use your own and just expand it out.
Gotcha.
But I like a slow ramp up. Is my idea too.
Gotcha.
Rather
I
than
love it.
all at once, trying to just do it all at once. Just
Right.
do a slow ramp up.
Gotcha. Okay, good deal. So, if somebody wanted to start with the 360 cameras and the photo booths and all that, what's their first step that they would take in order to actually just start that process?
Well, this piece is not too much capital intensive, but you would just buy the product. You can look online and look for a 360 photo booth or an open air photo booth. Buy the product and then you can test it out, play with it, see if you how it feels. Because there is a software piece to it as well. Get comfortable with it, and then you can just go ahead and practice. Go
Gotcha.
out there and do it.
So how do you market? So you buy the equipment, you got the stuff. How do you actually reach out to potential people that want to rent it out from you? Or so how does that work?
That you reach out to wedding coordinators, and they're like a big key. Use social media, of course, and then friends and family, and just anyone that's looking for events. You just reach out to them and through our website or social media.
Gotcha. I love it, man. All right, cool. So, all right, this next segment is the lightning round. All right, and so with this is where I ask a few different questions, and the first thought that comes to mind, say that because that makes for better answers. So we'll go from there. So the first question I have for you is, if you were to write a message in the sky, like those planes that can write messages and draw things in the sky. If you could have a message written in the sky and everyone in the world could see it at the same time, what would you want that message to be?
Wow, interesting question. I would say something about be grateful for every day of life.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just a positive, inspirational message.
Gotcha. Okay, good deal. All right, next, if you were to combine two animals, right? And whether it's like And just to give you an example, if you were to say, I want a eagle body, but I want it to have like the neck of a giraffe or something, right? Whatever it is, two animals, combine the two to create a super animal. What would those two animals be? And what attributes would you pick? And why would you pick those?
Two animals? Okay, I would say, I guess, a rhinoceros head, because it's strong, strong,
Right.
and powerful. And then the legs would be, I guess, maybe a cheetah, because it's fast.
Okay. So
a fast, powerful animal.
A fowl. Okay. So a rhino with cheetah speed. That's dangerous. That is dangerous. Okay. Yeah. That is nobody's safe. All right. So and lastly, and this is a very, very debated question. A lot of people tend to not be able to answer this question. And the people who do answer it, they're very strong on one side, right? So the question is, Ghanaian jollof or Nigerian jollof? Which one is better?
Oh, that's easy. My wife's jollof.
Your wife jollof. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. I'll take it. I will take it. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate you, coming on to the pod. So where can everybody find you if they want to learn more about hotel development or just really get to know you? Where can they find you?
Okay, they can check my website. It's kominvestments.com. That's my company, KOM Investments LLC. Or they can check my Instagram, hotel development _man. And that's
hotel
where you can
development?
find it.
Say it again?
_man. Hotel development _man.
All right, awesome. Hey, Kofi, thank you so much. And hopefully we get that event space started soon. And,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to doing business with you, man. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Your First Steps podcast. Let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a review. And don't forget to subscribe.